Hello everyone, and welcome to Actual Real Invasions with April Frog. As a little bit of a fun follow-up from the April Fools, I got to co-invade with one of the invaders that was dueling me in my solo TT run, which is really cool. So we're here in Farah Missoula against Host and Phantom at this particular Grace. Now, everyone's using really strong stuff, and I do want to point out like how well two veteran PvP. I was a little irritated that I got hit with the rock there, but I think it was just an accident. But that we alternate aggression and are able to push these two way back into a corner, even away from the grace point a little bit. And funny enough, it's really dangerous because both of us are using frost greatswords, so there is just an absolutely huge amount of status buildup that that both of us are doing here. And I think they're doing it's the triple status Ant Spur Rapier, which is probably better against someone who is not as heavily armored and doesn't have I forget which speckled hard tier it is, but the one that gives you all the status boosts, because it's way more to try and manage than um, what I have, where I'm just like, well, I might get. I just also got since last time Divine Beast Frost Stomp and the extra immunity buff talisman. But GG everyone, that was a really fun 2v2. And of course, it would not be a Mithril Turtle video if I don't have a random ballista snipe from who knows where. And I don't feel bad for these two because this host got a couple blues that were chasing me down with Bone Bow, Rabbit's Cannon, and Onsbox Fan Bow. So that was a well-earned ballista snipe. And it was just funny because it was just a one shot, just out of nowhere and by host. And this is after a finger shuffle to get up the elevator faster. And I think this invasion was like right after I just got chased down by those hunters. So I'm like, not like, I'm a little tilted, but it's more of just like business stuff. But I wanted to include this one um, because it shows off that Divine Beast Frost Stomp is very strong. I think since it has a little bit more vertical reach and is chargeable, it just does more frost damage and frost buildup and regular damage than Hoarfrost Stomp. It is been surprisingly, well, maybe not surprisingly, but it has been very pleasantly good to use in invasions. I don't think it's like gonna shake anything up too much, but on a greatsword, especially the cold infused iron greatsword, it is very solid. And despite being able, like, with Bloodhound Fang doing a lot of poise damage, like I was able to basically just kind of push them around with Frost Stomp, which is really cool because without having big AoE spells or things like Waves of Darkness, like having it go in a forward direction, that is incredibly useful. And I'm using a regular halberd specifically here, Frost Infused, because it actually gets better strength scaling than the Banished Knight Halberd, which I think is more of a dex scaling when Frost Infused. And here's just another very, very silly thing that happens. This host is going to try and run away, and I think that damage number was just combined with the dog, and then I hit them out of the air, frost them, and throw them off of the ledge. Just hooray for random happenstances and silly things. And now for this one, just watch close behind me as I go for the golden slam on this guy. The phantom runs under my butt and gets hit with that and lives on like one, which is crazy. And the Erd Tree Big Stab does a lot of damage. It is, it has a lot of rot buildup, but I've very rarely actually hit the rot with it. And this guy, I don't know what he tried to parry. Because you can't parry a two-handed Colossal, and I don't think you can parry that Crucible Knight attack. So that guy was on just like another plane of something. I I don't know what he was trying to parry, but if he got something, my goodness, that would have been like a highlight for him. And as always, beware of ledges. Gravity is April Frog's secret weapon, and is always very funny. But GG, thanks for not fogballing me, guys. And of course, callbacks to dragons. Magma worms are up there. Like, they're they're so dangerous because they just like push you with that attack, and it's really hard to tell exactly where they're going. So fighting around them is incredibly dangerous, but I do manage to do a pretty good job here, especially um, the Phantom and I just have a very solid fight. He's using Endure Starfist, and I've got the Cold Greatsword. And I think here, because the fire took off the frost, and he has the bird shield, I think he probably just like lived on one there. And here, I'm being a little bit scary because I have a parry tool that I could try and go parry with, but then I just change target, heavy attack, and the host is the one that gets the dragon um, misfortune this time. But GG guys, thanks for fighting, and I appreciate the shield wiggle, Mr. Phantom. Alright. And then here is just some very smart plays, and also teamwork with a Mesmer Soldier. Mesmer Soldiers, um, they are incredibly dangerous, especially if you don't have a lot of Shadow Tree fragments. Um, they they have like at least like around 2,200 health, and they do work. In terms of standard enemies, these guys are some of the dangerous. Like, they hit so hard and have so much hyper armor after they use their like roar. It is crazy. And here I just got a nice clean backstab. Save this Mesmer Soldier, force the Phantom back from the ladder to keep them separated, and this Mesmer Soldier just goes to town. Although I haven't watched Invincible, I'm pretty sure this is a pretty good Omni-Man face. I don't know if the build fits very well. There's not really much time to tell because the Mesmer Soldier just decided that he's being sent back to the show. And then usually I always like to give a little bit of friendly advice, and this is the never follow an invader never follow an invader away from your objective, because we are going to lead you to your death. And this is also going to show off Carrion Retaliation a little bit, not too much, but behind me is the Zamor ruins filled with a bunch of Zamor knights. Forward is the bridge where there is a whole lot less enemies, and like the most dangerous is the one fire prelate who I think might also be able to hit me. So here I block the delayed dagger. Those end up like stunning him just enough to let me get out of the way and run, and now we are sprinting to our good friends, the Zamor Knights, who also use frost stuff. And this is why I keep frost pellets in my pouch. You never know when you're going to run into like an enemy that's just a PvE enemy that also just has a ton of frost buildup, and you're potentially going to get completely annihilated by it. But I do appreciate these guys coming in for the fight. But these Zamor Knights are very, very deadly, with very, very big AoE attacks, status buildup and a ton of health and poise. Uh, but yeah, don't stray from the path to the boss. Just keep going to the boss. It might seem silly, but that is the best thing you can do, and it puts invaders on a timer. And now I found a solo TT host that I invaded back to back, and there's just some fun duels here. Round one is Waves of Darkness Pickaxe versus Bleed Claymore. I'm not exactly sure what their Ash of War is. I don't remember if they use it in either fight, but it is definitely a bleed infused claymore, and this is just heavy pickaxe. Why was I using a pickaxe? I think I used it in the previous invasion, died and wanted to get a pickaxe win because it's just a fun, silly weapon. Um, It has a good amount of hyper armor. It also has, which is nice because it has the thrusting counter damage, so it's not like a short sword, I mean thrusting sword, where like it does have the counter damage, but not like a lot of hyper armor to resist getting hit. Like you can trade into stuff with the pickaxe. Maybe not claymore heavy attacks so much, but the pickaxe still absolutely is a fun, silly weapon that does a good amount of work. GG, and then here we come to round two, where it is just really funny whenever you run into someone like this. It's just like you both just jump for a joy because you're just like, yeah, that person was pretty chill and that was a fun fight. Hooray! But yeah, this one is going to again show Divine Beast Frost Stomp, Cold Iron Great Sword. Um, I've been loving it on this build and invading with it. It's just an incredibly solid weapon. I know I've said that like pretty much all the time when I invade with a strength build that has one, but I think this Frost Stomp is my new favorite Ash of War for it. I'm gonna keep trying it out and seeing how it goes. And knowing since this fight is relatively quick, I'll just say thank you so much for invading and supporting everything. I hope you enjoyed April Fools the as well as these actual invasions. Thank you so much for your time. As always, have an amazing day, and I will catch you in the next video. See ya!